Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to Faith Fuel Devotionals. My name is Pastor Dustin. Thanks for tuning in. I want to look at the Sermon on the Mount with you and deal with a topic that's a little bit uncomfortable, but I think one that's well needed. Jesus thought so. Last time we were dealing with the law of murder and anger. Today we're dealing with the law of adultery and lust. Let me read Matthew chapter number 5, verse number 27. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. Verse 28. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery already with her in his heart. Let me make a little introductory statement here, if I may. Notice the phrasing in verse 27. Ye have heard it said of old time, pretty much meaning Old Testament law. Verse 28, but I say unto you, New Testament interpretation. So just like in the previous law, Jesus was taking something that was of the Old Testament and he's getting to the heart of that law. And so it is with this. Murder is bad, but so is anger. Adultery is bad, but so is lust in the heart. So he's taking an approach that is more heart-centered, if you will. Now, let's talk about the Old Testament law here. And this one may not come to a great of a shock to you, but it is in the Old Testament. It's in the Ten Commandments. Jesus here is quoting Exodus chapter 20 and verse number 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Adultery literally means violation of the marriage bed. It means a crime, a civil injustice which introduces or may introduce into a family and is caused by a pretty much, I guess the obvious way to say it is a extramarital affair. A person that is married is the only person that can commit adultery. Somebody may have a improper relationship, if you will, outside of the bonds of marriage. That's not referred to as adultery. In the Bible, it's referred to as fornication. A little bit different there. The difference is married or not married. Adultery is with a married person has adultery, an unmarried person has fornication. But both have the same sort of view by God. So Leviticus 20, verse 10 also says about this law, that the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Now, it wasn't always what took place. It did happen on several occasions where people that were in the Bible that were caught in the act of adultery did have their lives taken, but it was more of this idea that the judgment, you could be in danger of this type of judgment. Remember back in John chapter number 8, there was a woman that was caught in adultery. We don't know what happened to the man, and she was brought before Jesus, and the Pharisees and the teachers said, let's have her stoned to death. And Jesus said, he is without sin, take up the first stone. That lady was guilty and worthy of death, but did not come into death because it depends on the situation. Similar, David committed adultery with Bathsheba. God did not have him put to death. In fact, if you read what it says over there in 1 Samuel chapter number 11, God said he was not going to have David put to death. And so it means you could have the danger up to, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it would happen, but you were in danger of death if you committed adultery. Now let's look what Jesus says in the New Testament teaching in verse 28. But I say unto you, whosoever looketh on a woman with lust after her hath committed adultery already with her in his heart. So he's just saying the act of adultery is not only a sin, but lusting, but thinking, but contemplating this in your heart is also a sin. The word lust means a longing desire, an eagerness to possess or enjoy, a lust of gain or concupiscence, a carnal appetite, an unlawful desire, or a carnal pleasure. You can lust for a cheeseburger, you can lust for a car, you can lust for a pair of shoes, and you can also lust for something sexual, is what Jesus is saying here. And he's using it, specifically teaching it in the realm of a man lusting upon a woman. But that is not the only scenario or application. Can a woman lust after a man? Well, of course. And that is just as sinful and just as wrong. He's using in this context because men are the ones who are predominantly struggling with this because men struggle with lust of the eyes more than a lust of the woman, or a woman would struggle with the lust of the eyes. But nonetheless, this spans both genders. You can see this in Proverbs. Speaking many times in Proverbs chapter 6 and chapter 7. Now I want to talk a little bit about something. Again, it may be uncomfortable, but this is a real problem in our society, this idea of lust. And it's not just a male problem, it is a female problem as well, especially with what we have today with access to pornography. This is a big deal and a big issue. And literally after 2020 and everything that took place there, pornography usage has skyrocketed here in America and literally all over the world. I just like to read something I printed off, just found on the internet, but just read you a little bit about this. It says, according to Patrick F. Fagan, PhD psychologist and former Deputy Assistant Health and Human Services Secretary, two recent reports, one by the American Psychological Association on hypersexualized girls, and the other on the National Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy on pornographic content of phone texting among teenagers, make clear that the digital revolution is being used by the younger and younger children to dismantle the barriers that channel sexuality into family life. And so there is a big problem, not just with adults in pornography, but more and more younger children and teenagers with pornography as well. And this study is showing that there is a big cost to this pornography, this lusting. Well, I'm not physically doing it. Yes, I'm watching something. Yes, I'm viewing something that is inappropriate or illicit on the internet, but I'm not engaging in it. Jesus said it's the same. And it is a real problem to look with lust. This study talks about the cost of pornography in the workplace. In February 2010, a number of people using computer to visit sexually oriented websites was as high as 28%. That's in 2010, 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Think about what it is now. The internet pornography statistics that deal with how much usage and accessibility is online. They say that every second, 28,258 users are watching pornography on the website. 28,000 every second. Think about that. Every second, $3,075.64 is spent on pornographic websites on the internet. Every second, 372 people are typing the word adult into a search engine. Every day, 37 pornographic videos are created in the United States. Every day, 2.5 billion emails containing pornography are sent or received. Every day, 68 million search queries related to pornography. 25% of total searches are generated toward pornography. Online pornography affects Americans. About 200,000 Americans are classified. 200,000 are classified as porn addicts. 40 million American people regularly visit pornographic sites. 35% of all internet downloads are related to pornography. 34% of internet users have experienced unwanted exposure to pornographic content, and 1/3 of pornography viewers are women. They talk about in this study how internet pornography hurts teenagers, how it increases teen pregnancy, how it hinders sexual development, how it raises the risk of depression, how it creates and distorts expectations that hinder healthy sexual development within the bonds of marriage. And there's more and more that could be said about this, but I think it's an understatement to say that we here in America have a problem with pornography. If you are watching this video and you struggle with that, get help. Ask for somebody to help you. Ask for help for your pastor. Get an accountability partner. Talk to somebody about it, because this really affects us, not just physically, not just mentally, not just financially and socially, but it affects us spiritually. Listen to what Solomon said in Proverbs chapter 6. Lust not after her beauty, neither let her take her with thine eyelids. Warning, don't do it. Why should I not do this, Solomon? Because whoso committeth adultery, verse 32, with a woman lacketh understanding, and he doth destroy his own soul. When somebody engages in lust, whether that's physically or digitally, when they engage in adultery, they are destroying their soul. Their soul is the mind, emotions, and will. So when you look at pornography, when you engage in improper relations with people outside of the bonds of marriage, you are destroying your mind. You are destroying your emotions. You are destroying your will. This is a huge thing. And so Jesus here is saying, yeah, adultery physically is bad, but even thinking about it, pondering in your heart is just as bad and just as deadly. If you have a person that is physically committing adultery, don't be fooled to think that they weren't digitally or mentally committing adultery before the physical act took place. Jesus is saying, nip it in the bud. Stop it before it becomes a physical problem. Don't even think about it. Adultery is a big problem. Lust is a big problem, especially when you have access to it. Can I recommend a few things? Have an accountability partner. Tell somebody about it. Tell your spouse. Tell your pastor. Talk to somebody. It's better to come clean than to be caught. Talk to somebody about it. Deal with it. Secondly, I'd like to say, get some safeguards in your life. You know, there's some movies that you probably shouldn't watch. If you're watching trash on your phone or on your tablet or computer on your television, get rid of it. Get some internet safeguards. Get some things that will monitor you and prevent you from getting there. Don't even wait till it happens. Build a safeguard, build a wall around yourself, because this stuff pops up. And don't watch stuff that will lead you to think it. If you're watching Game of Thrones, that is literally pornography. If you are watching rated R movies that are sexually explicit and have improper stuff on it, well, it may not be showing nudity, or it may be showing nudity, or it's not as bad as some other stuff. Listen, don't even go down that path. Monitor what you watch. Think about it. Consider it. If you know something is bad, don't even put yourself in that place of temptation. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be lusting. And this is for men, this is for women, this is for teenagers. This is a problem in our society, and it's really affecting us. It really is. We're going to talk about this again next week, but beware of lust. Be safe. Have a great day. God bless you.